All right, so get ready. We're diving deep into a chapter of a memoir today. And
oh, this is going to be good.
It is. Yeah. It's a story about family, destiny, and get this, a mysterious silver amulet.
I love it already.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at chapter 2, My Mother's Death and the Mystic Amulet.
It's an incredible chapter. It really makes you think.
It does. It blends, like personal grief with these almost supernatural elements, and it's...
Yeah, how can you not keep reading?
I know. And you really get the sense that the author is trying to make sense of loss, but through this spiritual lens.
Exactly. And it raises all these questions about fate, destiny, even past lives.
Oh yeah, for sure. But first, let's start with the author's relationship with his mother. He describes this incredibly strong bond with her.
Oh, totally. And it's clear how important family was to her.
Her greatest wish was to see her son, Ananta, get married. She even said, and this is a quote, when I behold the face of Ananta's wife, I shall find heaven on this earth.
Wow. I mean, that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about, seeing him married.
Yeah.
It's about family, continuing, and this cultural expectation.
Absolutely. So at the time, the family's living in Bareilly in northern India, and they're planning Ananta's wedding in Calcutta, a huge celebration. The author and his father are about to head to Calcutta for, all the festivities, and that's when things take this kind of a dark turn.
That's where it gets really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, he has this vivid vision of his mother.
And the story shifts from ordinary life to something else.
Right, something extraordinary.
Yeah.
So he's sleeping next to his father, and suddenly he's woken up by the mosquito net fluttering. Curtains part, and he sees his mother standing there. She whispers, "Awaken your father. Take the first available train at 4 o'clock this morning. Rush to Calcutta if you would see me." And then, poof, she's gone. Just like that.
Chills, right?
I know.
What would you even do?
I don't know. So he's terrified, obviously, right? He wakes up, his dad tells him, "Our mom's dying." But his father's like, no, it's just a bad dream.
Oh, man.
I know.
I bet that was so frustrating.
And it really highlights that, conflict between intuition and logic, which we see throughout the whole story.
Totally. And do you think the father regretted not listening later?
He did. He even says that his father carried that regret for the rest of his life.
Wow.
But anyway, they don't leave right away. But then the next morning, bam, a telegram arrives. Mother, dangerously ill, marriage postponed, come at once.
Oh, man, that's awful.
It's heartbreaking, and you can just feel his, desperation and guilt.
Yeah, blaming himself.
Yeah, if only he'd been more insistent,
Right.
He even thinks about throwing himself in front of the train on the way to Calcutta. That's how deep his grief is. He says he couldn't imagine a world without her, describes her as, his closest confidant.
So it was more than just a typical mother-son relationship.
Yeah, they were kindred spirits,
Right.
But tragically, by the time they get to Calcutta, she's already gone.
Oh, no.
He's devastated. He describes his grief as this overwhelming force, storming the gates of heaven with his cries.
Wow, powerful imagery.
Yeah. But then, get this, something extraordinary happens. In the middle of his despair, he feels the presence of the Divine Mother, and she says to him, "It is I who have watched over thee, life after life, in the tenderness of many mothers. See in my gaze the two black eyes, the lost, beautiful eyes thou seekest."
Whoa. Okay, so now we're talking reincarnation.
Right, their bond goes beyond this one lifetime.
Yeah, it's not just a mother's love, it's something bigger,
And this is just the beginning of his spiritual journey. After the cremation, he goes back to Bareilly with his father and starts making these daily pilgrimages to a shioli tree in their garden, finding solace in nature and prayer.
So his mother's death kind of awakens this spiritual yearning in him.
Yeah, and he feels this pull towards the Himalayas, the land of yogis and swamis.
Those who dedicate their lives to spiritual practices.
Exactly. He even tries to run away to the Himalayas with a friend.
Oh, wow.
But his brother brings him back.
So he's torn between his obligations and this burning desire to find a spiritual path.
Right. And then 14 months after his mother's death, his brother reveals a secret message, a deathbed message from their mother. Talk about a plot twist, right?
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Okay, so his brother's about to reveal the secret deathbed message, right? After over a year.
It's can you imagine waiting that long?
I know, and he's still, grieving, searching for answers, and then boom.
A message from beyond, right?
Exactly. So his brother, Ananta, explains that he was with their mother when she was dying, and she made him promise to wait a whole year before telling the author this.
Like she wanted him to be ready or something?
Yeah, to be in the right headspace, you know? It's like there's this sense of gravity to it all. Okay, so the message. It starts with a trip she took to Benares while she was pregnant with the author. She went to see her guru, this renowned spiritual teacher named Lahiri Mahasaya.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a very influential figure.
So she kind of snuck into this gathering of his disciples, hoping to get a blessing for her unborn child. And get this, as she's praying silently, the guru suddenly opens his eyes and calls her forward. He takes the baby from her arms, puts his hand on the baby's forehead and says, "Little mother, thy son will be a yogi. As a spiritual engine, he will carry many souls to God's kingdom."
Whoa.
I know, right?
It's like destiny right there.
Yeah, like his path was already being laid out.
And the guru had told the mother before, even before the author was born, that he would be drawn to a spiritual life.
Wow, so it's like it was all already happening.
Yeah, the pieces were in place.
But wait, there's more to the message. His mother goes on to talk about this other encounter with a wandering holy man, a sadhu.
Those are fascinating. You know,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, renouncing everything, dedicating their lives to the spiritual path, wandering.
Right, so the sadhu shows up at their house in Lahore and he demands to see the mother of Mukunda, the author's name.
So naturally, she's curious.
Of course. She goes to meet him and she just knows, that he's the real deal.
Okay, and then what happens?
So the sadhu tells her straight up that her time on earth is coming to an end. He says her next illness will be her last.
That's heavy stuff.
It is. But the author says his mother wasn't afraid. She felt this sense of peace, like she had accepted it.
Like a deep spiritual understanding.
Exactly. And then the sadhu tells her something even more extraordinary. He says she'll be the custodian of a silver amulet, a talisman, but he's not going to give it to her right then.
Okay, so how's that going to work?
To prove he's legit, he says the amulet will materialize in her hands the next day while she's meditating.
Whoa, wait, what?
I know, right? And then he gives her specific instructions on what to do with it after her death. She's supposed to give it to Ananta, her oldest son, who holds on to it for a year and then passes it on to the author.
So there's like a whole ritual to this.
Right, and the sadhu says the amulet will eventually vanish, even if it's hidden once it's served its purpose.
So mysterious.
I know. He says the author will understand the significance when the time is right.
Setting the stage for his spiritual awakening almost.
Yeah, and it makes you think, right, what is the power of these objects? Are they just symbols or do they actually hold some kind of energy?
It's a question that has haunted us forever, right?
Right. But back to the story. So Ananta gives the author the amulet, right?
Okay.
And the author says as soon as he receives it, this wave of understanding washes over him. He describes it as like round, ancient looking, covered in Sanskrit characters. And he just knows intuitively that it came from teachers from his past lives who are guiding him from beyond.
So this is where reincarnation really comes in.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't say how he knows this, but he has this innate understanding of its origins and its connection to his past lives,
Like wisdom from other lifetimes.
Exactly.
Neat.
But he doesn't explain everything. He says, a further significance there was indeed, but one does not reveal fully the heart of an amulet. It's like he's acknowledging the mystery of it.
Yeah, and respecting its power.
Right. He also says that even though he couldn't physically go to the Himalayas at that time, the amulet allowed him to kind of journey there in spirit.
It was almost like a bridge,
A bridge between his worldly life and his spiritual aspirations, right? So we're left with this image of this young man, grieving, drawn to the spiritual life, and holding this amulet that's like connected to his destiny.
It's a pretty powerful image.
And it makes you think about like the things we hold on to, right? Things that connect us to something bigger.
Yeah, definitely. Like in this case, the amulet's this guidepost leading him towards his spiritual path.
But remember what the sadhus said, that it would eventually vanish.
Oh, right. Yeah, and it did, didn't it?
It did. He doesn't go into detail in this chapter, but he says it disappeared under some difficult circumstances.
So like it served its purpose and then...
Yeah, it's almost like it got him to a certain point and then poof, it wasn't needed anymore.
Like it prepared him for the next step.
Exactly, to meet his guru.
Right, the author calls the amulet a temporary guardian.
Yeah, like it was protecting him, guiding him until he found his true spiritual mentor.
It's a fascinating idea, right? That objects can have this power, even if it's just for a little while.
It really makes you think about, the the material world in a different way.
Yeah, like what else is out there?
And this story, I don't know, it blends the personal and the spiritual so well.
Totally. It's not just about the mystical stuff. It's about human connection too, and searching for meaning,
Yeah. And it reminds us that spirituality isn't separate from our lives, right? It's part of everything.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts on all of this? A mother's love, a mysterious amulet, destiny, this whole journey.
I mean, wow, what a story.
I know, right?
Makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what do you think about past lives? How much of our path is chosen and how much is already decided?
Big questions.
They are. And what about those objects, right? Do they connect us to something we can't see?
Definitely a lot to think about.
Yeah. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, check out the full memoir. This chapter is just the beginning, really.
Barely scratches the surface.
It'll stick with you, I bet.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Absolutely. Keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of life.
Thank you for listening till the end. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and share with your friends. This will help more listeners to discover our channel and content.